I just want to absolutely voice again my displeasure at having to sit here through a mockery of what has happened. Nobody won anything yesterday. Nobody. Least of all, our reputations to solve problems. And I have such a headache from listening to rubbish. There is no solution among any of you. All you want to do is bicker and blame somebody else, and all of the things are in your control. Well, I received a document from your Minister for Housing, Taoiseach, or Taoiseach, whichever you are, and I am not looking to shout back at you, so I'm going to calm down and I'm going to put the issue to you. I got a document from your Minister for Housing yesterday. I hadn't decided how I was going to vote because I've been speaking on planning for 3 years. We have a very serious issue of 70,000 planning grants that are not commenced and will not commence until your government, Taoiseach, deals with the viability issue. They're not building houses because they're being giving planning for houses that aren't wanted. People won't buy them, developers won't build them. The only people that are buying these types of densities are housing bodies and county councils. Now, you and your minister have failed to influence a policy that makes viability a planning consideration. So, albeit that I'm a member of the regional group who put forward 8 very, I would say, constructive proposals, you can't implement the viability one. You just can't, because this document, instead of actually bringing down and lowering densities, which is what I have asked for 3 years be done to encourage viability, it increases densities. Could you believe that? Now, you probably don't know what I'm talking about, Taoiseach, because neither did the Minister for Housing. And that's the worrying bit. We're standing here talking about homelessness, blaming landlords, and there won't be another unit built if you continue with this policy. He told me he got it the night before. I can understand why, because he must have got some young college student in their first year to write it. He certainly didn't get anybody with any brains to write it. So I think if you go back on the blacks of this House for 3 years, you'll definitely get the 70,000 planning grants commenced if you take the advice that I have given for 3 years in relation to planning policy and process. And it's time we all stopped the BS. I won't say it now, Ceann Comhairle, but it's a time when we should be pulling together, because if I have one homeless child in Wexford, one child that isn't accommodated, I'll be bringing it here and it'll be sitting in the CeannComhairle's lap. And I want an answer in relation to why your housing minister would insult my intelligence and that of the developers who are trying to help you in this country. An answer.
Yeah, through the chair, if I could say that, you know, in the parliamentary debate, sometimes I get a bit, I don't agree with the old trope that's put out that everybody's talking rubbish except myself, which is what your position is. And I think we just need to reflect on that. This is a parliamentary debate where people have legitimate views they can put forward. And I may disagree with the opposition on certain issues, but I respect their right to put the points to me. I don't declare everything as rubbish. I don't sort of say the minister is listening to people with no brains, as if everybody out there is foolish and stupid. No, but sorry, I'm addressing the issue now. You've made those points, Deputy, and I have to, and I think it's legitimate for government to robustly defend what it's doing in respect to housing. And the Housing for All plan is a plan. I have seen no other plan in terms of either comprehensiveness or in terms of the actual various schemes, from the affordable housing scheme to the first home scheme to the Cree Conaha, to the cost rental scheme, to the 30,000 houses that were, and apartments that were built last year, and in terms of a whole range of other initiatives. Without question, there's been a fundamental intervention in housing by this government. That cannot be argued with. What can be argued with is pace, scale, and how we can deliver more houses more quickly, and I think modern methods of construction is one effective way of doing that. In respect of the planning, we have published a comprehensive planning bill, which is going to encounter opposition in the House. That's legitimate for people to oppose it. But the government has taken decisive action in a fundamental reform of our planning code, because we do need to improve the delivery on the planning side. Now, I don't believe you should make viability a condition of planning, because we'd never get anything through Board Plenála or judicial review. But, sorry, it shouldn't be part of the planning process. It should be part of policy in terms of... and in our view, we are... And again, developers will argue this, but developers will argue on a continuous basis for more and more responses. But we do listen to what builders are saying and what people are saying generally. And particularly in terms of compact apartment building, there's a viability issue. I accept that. And therefore, we have taken measures to try and improve that situation. And we are reviewing other measures which can help viability if we can take costs out. No, we don't take measures to make the matter worse. And if I could say, but Deputy, I've already outlined 30,000 houses were built last year. There are more people now working in the construction industry. Sorry, as I said, Deputy, largest number of first-time buyers last year. That's not the picture you've created in your presentation. And in addition to that, next year there'll be higher targets again in respect of social housing and in terms of the work of the Land Development Agency. But all of that, in my view, the foundations are there. We have to keep this going for the next 10 years in terms of the level of housing we have to build. And we do need a faster and better delivery on the planning side.
Deputy Murphy.
The foundations are not dug, never mind there, and that's the problem. We have 70,000 housing units with planning ready to go. Do you understand what viability is, Taoiseach? Could you pass it on to your Minister for Housing? Because he doesn't. He actually doesn't know what a specific planning policy requirement is. And you don't get that in what you're talking about, your Planning and Development Act. You get it from this, which is the greatest load of rubbish. We have to bring a specific planning policy requirement where we have county development plans that are already formed in order to change the densities. We are months away from doing it. Months, Ceann Comhairle, at least maybe 6 or 12 months. That's why you won't have a house built or your first-time buyers. I'm not worried about those first-time buyers. I'm worried about the ones being evicted from the landlords who can no longer pay mortgages because of interest rates and for many other reasons. And you are expecting landlords to do your job without compensating them. We shouldn't have an eviction ban. It's your fault. It's your government's fault. That's why we have it. You're expecting landlords to do your job. You have a solution, but you don't understand it.
We're not all as ingenious. We're not all, Deputy, as ingenious as you are, clearly. But I want to make the point. That last year 30,000 houses were built. So you keep saying that a house will be built. 30,000 were built last year, and we need to do more in the years to come. I am interested in first-time buyers. You may not be. I am. Because we do need because the younger generation, Deputy, needs access to housing too. And they need to know that from the next decade, younger people coming out of school, getting into work and so on, will have an opportunity. Look, Deputy, with the greatest respect, I listened to you. I did not interrupt you. You seem incapable of hearing an alternative viewpoint. You're playing to a gallery here in an audience. I'm trying to address the issues that you're doing, and you're playing politics. I'll say what I wish to say, Deputy, which is in accordance with the parliamentary process. I'm endeavouring to make our point, and there's just constant interruption all of the time. You either wanted a reasonable debate or not, and to go through the issues.
Please, Deputy.
But the problem is, Deputy, you use language in terms of everybody is stupid according to you, except yourself. I am saying that's exactly what you're saying. That's exactly what you were saying. That's exactly what you're saying.
Please, Deputy, please.